Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Foodie Fridays. I'm really excited to share with you all of my awesome cooking tips and tricks, some recipes for you guys to try. And I figured we should start out sweet for the first episode. Today we are going to be making these awesome little cinnamon sugar baked treats with a little dipping sauce on the side. They're great if you want to bring something over for dessert to a friend's house or if you just want to munch on them alone. What's great about this recipe is that it only has 8 main ingredients. So what you're going to need are 3 tablespoons of butter, about 1/4 of a stick of cream cheese. You're going to use 3 of the tortilla shells. They're like the soft flour ones. Going to need a dash of vanilla extract, a sprinkle of cinnamon, about a tablespoon or so of powdered sugar, and about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And lastly, you're going to need a few tablespoons of white sugar. Now, before you start assembling your little tortilla triangles, you're going to want to set your oven to 350 degrees and get out a baking sheet. So what you're going to want to do first is grab a bowl and put your 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm not big on exact measurements, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, and it's just about this much. I don't know why I looked at it like that. Struggled to close the butter. All right, now you're gonna add a dash of cinnamon, and you're going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of white sugar, or really however much you think should go in. It's meant to be sweet, like a cinnamon sugar mixture. So now what you're going to do is place this bowl in the microwave until the butter is melted, and while you're doing that, you can begin gutting your tortillas. If you don't have a microwave, you can of course melt the butter on the stove, and if you don't have an oven, you can obviously cook the tortillas in a toaster oven. Now I'm going to set aside the sugar and cinnamon, and I'm going to whip out our tortillas. So what you're going to want to do is take out about 2 to 3 of them. I'm going to use 2 today. And then grab a scissor. Now, I love this. I think this is a great trick for pizza, for literally cutting anything. You're gonna cut it down the middle. I'll show you in a second. So now it's cut in half. You can see that there's both pieces. And then you're gonna wanna take both halves and stack them on top of each other like this. And you're going to repeat the process of cutting them in half. And now you're gonna stack them on top of each other one last time, and then cut them down the middle again. Now that you've done that, you have your perfect little tortilla chips to dip in your butter mixture. While you're waiting for your butter mixture, you can go ahead and grab a baking sheet. You don't really need to put any grease on it or anything because the butter is going to be on there anyway, and they really don't stick that much to the pan. Okay, so as you can see, this is our lovely butter mixture. And I'm just gonna mix it together with our sugar and cinnamon so it's all nicely incorporated. And if you want to, you can add more sugar, more butter, more cinnamon, whatever you think. I think this one looks good. I like it to be more of this texture so it'll stick to the tortillas better. Setting that aside real quick, we're going to assemble our tortillas on our baking sheet. So now that we have assembled our tortillas on our baking sheet, we're going to mix up the butter and sugar mixture one last time, make sure it's very incorporated, and then you're just gonna pour it over top. First, it'll be a little bit more liquid than the sugar mixture, and then you're just going to evenly distribute the sugar mixture throughout. Make sure to scrape that bowl. Put the bowl towards the side, but we are going to use that again, and you'll see why in a little bit. Now you're just going to brush the mixture over all of the tortillas. You can kind of mix them together if you want. As you can see, our tortilla shells are all set to go, and we're gonna put them in the oven for 10 minutes. While those are in the oven, we're gonna take that same bowl that our butter and sugar mixture was in, and we're going to add a little bit of cream cheese to start making our dipping sauce. Now, I like doing this just because you don't have to use any more butter, and you kind of have those same flavors, so you don't have to add too much more butter or sugar. I just took a little bit of cream cheese. A little bit goes a long way because it does melt down. And now you're gonna take a splash of vanilla. About a tablespoon or so of brown sugar, which we did not use before, so that'll be a nice little contrast to the flavor of the chips. We're going to add a dash of white sugar, maybe just about a tablespoon. And last but not least, a few shakes of powdered sugar. I would say about a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending on how sweet you want it. Now you don't need to mix everything up quite yet. You're just gonna pop this in the microwave for about a minute to a minute and 30 seconds and then check back. One thing I forgot to mention about both the butter and the cream cheese, if you're putting it in the microwave, I would recommend leaving it on a lower setting if your microwave is able to do that. That way the heat will be incorporated into it equally and it won't just be like flash cooked. Now, while you're waiting for your cream cheese mixture and your tortillas to cook, you can start putting your ingredients away and cleaning up the kitchen. Whenever I cook, I don't really think about cleaning up, but it does annoy my mom quite a bit when I leave the kitchen a mess, so I like to make sure that I clean up as best as possible. If you guys want to leave suggestions for what I should make in future videos, be sure to do that in the comments below. And for now, we just kick back, relax, and wait for everything to be done. Okay, now our cream cheese mixture just came out of the microwave and we're gonna mix that all together. If you've ever had the cream cheese mixture, like frosting that they put on Cinnabons, this is really similar to that. You're just gonna wanna incorporate everything on the sides and then just kind of scoop it into the middle. You can use any utensil you want to do this. Now you have a nice little cream cheese mixture that'll be all set for when your chips come out of the oven. And boom, guys, look at that. Our chips are done. They look nice and gorgeous and crispy. They did take a little longer than 10 minutes, but overall this recipe is really easy and it only takes about 20 minutes total between the prep and the bake time. And look at that, guys. Plated it up with some cinnamon sugar, chocolate, and our little mixture. And of course, presentation is everything, even when you're just eating it alone. Sorry guys, I'm not sharing, but now you know how to make it for yourself. So if you do make it, make sure you tag me on your Instagram or Snapchat stories so I can see your awesome creations. Stay tuned for the next episode of Foodie Fridays.